Is there evidence of life on the moon? Well, according to a USSR spaceship that returned to Earth in 1970 with possessing the proof of alien life, there is evidence of life on the moon. In the race for technical advancement, both the USSR and United States were engaged in a Cold War, intending to win the space race and claim themselves as the most technically advanced nation. The Soviet Union emerged as the first nation to land its spaceship on the moon and launched its satellite into space. On September 13, 1959, Luna 2 is known to be the first unmanned vehicle to descend on the moon. Yes, that's 1959, Luna 2. It was in 1966 when the USSR conducted its first successful landings and managed to capture the first photographs of the moon's surface with the help of Luna 9 and Luna 13 flights, and soon the United States followed the steps of the USSR and conducted 5 successful unmanned landings on the Surveyor. Surprisingly, a Soviet spaceship, Luna 16, came back to Earth carrying evidence of the existence of life on the moon. It consisted of lunar soil possessing evidence of alien life, challenging the existing theories associated with the moon, and holding the scientists accountable for the origin and evolution of the solar system. For the first time in the history of mankind, on September 24, 1970, an unmanned spaceship brought a sample of the lunar soil to Earth. Luna 16, the Soviet spaceship, descended on Earth from the lunar Sea of Fertility, carrying 101 grams of lunar regolith in a hermetically sealed container. And following the footsteps in February 1972, Luna 20 utilized a drill with a 25-centimeter hollow bit to collect another sample that was hermetically sealed on the moon, and that too just 120 kilometers from the Luna 16 landing site. In the USSR, hermetic containers brought back from the Luna missions were sent right to the lab so that the contents could be studied and photographed. However, even after dozens and dozens of pictures were put together in an atlas in 1979, a few of the components' biological nature was not noticed. Luna 16 was made by the design group of NPO named after S.A. Lavochkin. Gregory Nikolaev Babakin was in charge of the group. On November 17, 1970, Soviet scientists made a report about the first findings of a survey of the material characteristics of the lunar soil, the regolith that they brought back. And on December 21st, the order from the USSR Minister of General Machine Building was made public. It said that developers and makers of ground-based space infrastructure facilities would get bonuses. In 2020, documents about the USSR's moon program were made public. The images were further examined by biologists from the Russian Academy of Sciences, Stanislav Zmur from the Institute of Lithosphere of the Marginal Seas, and Lyudmila Gerasimenko from the Institute of Biology to get more details. It was specifically noted by the scientists that some of the particles in the photos were almost the same as fossils of recognized species on Earth. Essentially, it was observed that some round pieces of regolith that were brought back by Luna 20 looked a lot like fossils of coccoid bacteria like Siderococcus or Sulfolobus in terms of size, shape, distribution, and the way the spheres get distorted when they become fossils. Analysis of the fossils found by the lunar surface by the USSR. The editorial team of the 1979 Atlas discovered how interesting the shapes of the fossil that was found in the regolith of Luna 16 samples, and they thought it was a small meteorite crater due to its spherical shape with strong spokes. However, Zmur and Gerasimenko witnessed an instantly recognizable resemblance between the fossil and modern spiral filamentous microorganisms such as Formidium frigidum, found in growing stromatolites in Shark Bay, Australia, and spiral filamentous microorganisms from the early Proterozoic Scheugites of Karelia. In 1994 and 1999, the outcomes of their recent study concerned with these particles were shared at conferences on astrobiology in Denver, Colorado, in the United States. At the very same conference in Denver, Zmur and Gerasimenko also said that they had found microfossils of living things in some carbonaceous meteorites that came from a place far beyond the moon. Quote, "We thought the most interesting thing they found was the fossils in these meteorites," end quote. Even though no one disagreed with the fact that these microfossils were once living things, the scientific community's rejection of these facts led to a negative image of the scientists. At a convention on the moon and other planets held in Houston in March 2000, it was said that all carbonaceous and Martian meteorites that had been checked for pollutants showed signs of contamination. Even though microorganisms that generally remain on human hands and surface can conveniently colonize meteorites before they are analyzed and because petrification can happen in a short period of time, fossilized microorganisms in meteorites are now generally believed to be evidence of recent contamination from Earth. The fossils that have been found on the lunar surface are different. Each specimen from the moon was put in a sealed jar on the moon and only opened in the lab, where it was studied right away. Therefore, it's concluded that these fossils are solid proof that there was life in space in the past, but mainstream science perhaps does not want to believe this. This is on Infinity Explorers by Anshra Vastava. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.